One of the 2 times I've ever been so frustrated at a video game that like my parents had to like physically remove me off from the game was a kid was one I would Juantissimo in Mario Sunshine.
Oh, Piantissimo.
Oh, Piantissimo,
Piantissimo, that's it. The specifically the very last one, because if you don't know how to do the belly slide mechanic, you just can't beat him. I got really mad at that to the point where I'd cry, and then the King, when I first played the Mario 64 and I could not beat King Babam, because I would throw him off of the stage, because I didn't read what they were saying in video games. I'm like no, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
Yeet. So I would just throw him off, and I kept not beating him, and I was like, why is this word, and so they had to they were like, all right, it's time to take a break, and I'm like, what? Yeah. Everybody to the Boost View Podcast. Here on the Boost View Podcast, we like to talk about Nintendo games, new and old, give them a review, and maybe a look back in retrospect. Today's game is one of the most classic games of all time, most sped run games of all time, Mario 64. Super Mario 64, I think, is actually the official name of it. But that's what we're talking about today. But before we get into that, my name is Favlam.
Hello, I'm Gabe, or Excelia96. It's so nice to see you here.
Hello, I am Short Diffuse, aka Fuse.
And my guest, don't worry about it. I will introduce you. We'll start with Zach. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Zach Tunes. I'm a speedrunner, basically just Mario 64. 70 star right now, but learning 120. So that's my main background.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's learning the marathon, the big chunky one. Oh
yeah, that one sounds intimidating. I don't know if I would ever have the heart for that.
70 star will be my next one once I get that.
70 is a lot of fun. 120 is it's overwhelming. I'm having to take a lot of breaks to learn things, but I'm like pacing myself. Otherwise, I'll burn out and just like give up. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel that.
And our second guest, Leanne, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Leanne Heff. I speedrun Mario 64 as well as some other Mario and Zelda games. And I do 70 and 16 star, and I hope to do 120 eventually, but we haven't quite crossed that bridge yet, so maybe in the future. But yeah.
I believe in you. You got it. I'm
Hopefully.
sure you'll get there.
Godspeed.
Yeah. Leanne also does a lot of we were just talking about Mario Sunshine. You did a lot of Mario
Love
Sunshine.
Mario Sunshine, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sunshine.
So we have two wonderful I would say experts in the matter of Mario 64 here, and then 3 lovely fans, I would say. But before we get into anything Mario 64 related, I'd like to bring up the age-old podcast question. Are you two familiar with the recent Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video games and the Pokemon that are within them?
I mean, vaguely, but I would have to hear this more specific question to understand the context.
Okay.
Yeah. I know the name, that's about it.
Okay, so there's 2 Pokemon in the game called Spidops and Annihilate. We like to make our guests choose. Are you team Spidops or are you team Annihilate? But if you wanted to see both of them, I can pull them up real quick.
Absolutely.
I'm going with Annihilate by the name, so I'll look at the looks.
Oh, man, just the name alone.
I got to see him.
Best choice.
Pull him up.
Okay, so this is Spidops.
We love Spidops.
We'll show him off. I'll show him off on the podcast screen as well right now. And then this
Spidops is terrible.
Annihilate right here. There he is. That's Mr. Annihilate.
I'm gonna have to go with that one as well. Yeah.
Let's see Spider.
Absolutely.
Annihilate. Yeah.
Gabe,
you have the worst taste in planet Earth. I swear to God.
Listen here, buddy.
when we first started doing this podcast, it was pretty even. Like every other guest would kind of go back. But like in recent times, it's been it's been really one-sided for Fuse.
It's rigged. Everything's. I know there's things going on behind the scenes. I'm calling it right now.
The name's just more hardcore.
There's nothing going on behind the scenes. I'm gonna PayPal you guys later. All right. So, anyways, let's continue this discussion.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. But anyways, that's just like a question we like to ask all the time. It's always good. Sometimes we forget to like the very end, but So a question we always do like to start with, and when it comes to the game topic, Mario 64. That's what we're talking about today. A classic. If you don't know the game, I'd be shocked if you didn't. If you haven't even heard of it. We're just going to start about some like general things about the game. We're not really, the second half of the podcast we'll probably spend actually talking about like speedrunning and maybe speedrunning history, tricks, all that kind of stuff, how to get into it, community, blah, blah, blah. But right now we're just going to talk about how did you first play Mario 64? When did you first get that first experience of the game? How did you first, when did you, oh, this is how I've encountered it. Me personally, it was actually my first console game ever. That is the first video game I had. PC games on I had like Freddy the Fish and Spy Box Dry Cereal and Pajama Sam. I had all those on like my PC. Yeah, those are great.
I remember you playing that one on stream.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I remember Freddy the Fish. I never heard of Pajama Sam in my life.
They're all part of like the
these.
same franchise. And Putt Putt is the other, is like the fourth one in that like the set of characters. Anyways, but Mario 64 was my first console game. My dad bought me an N64, and he bought me Mario 64, and he bought me Donkey Kong Country, I think it's called, or whatever.
Yeah, DK64.
That's it, yeah. So I couldn't figure DK64 out. It was too complicated for me. Mario 64, though, made more sense to me, and I was able to actually like play it and beat it, and that's where I fell in love with the game. I'll pass it off to one of our
emotional.
guests. I know. I totally wasn't just burping up my Five Guys. Let's pass it off to Leanne first. Leanne, how did you first play Mario 64?
Yeah, I mean, it was my first game ever as well. I was basically like born into a house with a Nintendo 64, so like my older brothers were always playing it already from when I was born, and then I think I was like 2 or something ridiculous when my brother just like gave me the controller, and I wasn't like playing it properly, but I was just like moving Mario about and stuff. And I used to use them kind of like as doll houses, the games like Mario and Zelda, that kind of thing. So it was like my first, it was like my first experience with that, and that's basically how I found it. But yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Awesome,
That's such a cool. You were doing like the machinima thing, like how they used to do with Red versus Blue, what you do with Mario 64. That's so sick.
Yeah. I never beat
surprised.
it though.
Oh. Well, until recent. Until you beat it on the reg now.
Yeah.
Fuse, what about you? How did you first encounter this game?
I think it was one of my first games that I generally remember growing up as a kid. Like before that, I do remember sometimes playing on like the old school Super Mario Brothers because my dad played the shit out of it basically until because I remember he beat the game and then he would play it a second time around, but this time the enemies were invisible, and then eventually he went and got a 64. And then I played Mario 64. And I remember I could never for the life of me get that little penguin guy down to meet his mom. I'd always accidentally kick him off the cliff and I just get in trouble. I was like, okay, you're just never going home. I'm sorry. You're just staying up here, and I never got the penguin to reunite with his mom. I'm sorry.
Listen, if you never did it on purpose, if you never threw that penguin off a cliff on purpose, do you really play Mario 64? Like,
You did not pass the Mario 64 vibe check if you did not do that.
I mean, I didn't try to. I did once because, like, you know what, just fall, and I was like, just nope, that's happening. But it was my first game that like wasn't like a just directly 2D platformer. You know, it actually had like an open world. I was like, oh my god, video games can do this! Wow. I was like the most excited like 6-year-old you've ever seen in your life. I was like, oh my god, let's go! It was so fun, especially when you like go little fly tricks. I love that.
For sure. Yeah, the flying of the game was an interesting mechanic, but we'll get into that here in a minute. Zach, what about you?
So my first game my first console, you're talking about that, was a SNES. So I was a bit like earlier than the N64. And then I skipped a generation because we were allowed to basically own one console per generation. So we chose the PS1 instead of the N64. So my first time playing it was at my best friend's house. And the only 2 things I remember from it as a kid were doing the King Bob-omb fight in Bob-omb Battlefield and like getting thrown all the way off the mountain just like for fun. And then also killing the baby penguin. Those are like the 2 main things, and I literally didn't even try and do anything else. That was just the fun that we would do.
Dude, one of the 2 times I've ever been so frustrated at a video game that like my parents had to like physically remove me off from the game as a kid was one, I would Juantissimo and Mario Sunshine.
Oh, Piantissimo.
Oh, Piantissimo,
Piantissimo, that's it. The specifically the very last one, because if you don't know how to do the belly slide mechanic, you just you just can't beat him. I got really mad at that to the point where I'd cry, and then the King, when I first played the Mario 64 and I could not beat King Babam, because I would throw him off of the stage, because I didn't read what they were saying in video games. I'm like, no, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
Yeet. So I would just throw him off, and I kept not beating him, and I was like, why is this word? You know, and so they had to they were like, all right, it's time to take a break, and I'm like, what? You know. Yeah. Gabe, what about yourself?
So, like a couple of you guys, this was actually my first. It was definitely my first video game ever. The Nintendo 64. It belonged to my brother Seth, and then it was kind of like a hand-me-down because Seth was going off to college. I think I was probably around like 4 or 5. And we got to grips with it. Me, David, and Sarah. We all took turns, things like that. But it was crazy because we just soon after we started playing the Nintendo 64, we got our Game Boy Colors as well. But Mario 64 was like the OG game. We would always go through try to get all the secret stars. I never knew about the L is real, that Luigi.
Oh my goodness,
not creepypasta or whatever thing until years
Zach,
down.
Are you not
But
familiar with this?
No, I'm not. I don't know what this is.
I don't follow
You don't know
creepypasta
about
much
L
either.
is real?
I have
Oh
no
my
idea.
God.
I have no idea what
I know
this
that
is.
people like
So-
come into chats and troll saying you can play as Luigi and stuff, but is that
Yeah.
literally just the TLDR of it, or is there more to it?
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, there was a rumor that like Luigi was in the game, and then on the fountain in like the courtyard thing, it's like smeared text.
In BBH?
People, yeah,
Yeah.
people would basically say L is real or something like that. And
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
I think I have
whole-
seen that actually.
Yeah,
you
it's like
mentioned it.
if you look at any like Mario 64 iceberg video, or like if you talk about my favorite videos are like explaining liminal space and like why N64 games have like such liminal space vibes.
I
'cause it's
literally
like-
just saw one of those. Like one was in my recommended that was like 38 more Mario 64 locations that are totally unnecessary.
yeah.
And it's just a
Right.
dude like standing in a corner talking about the corner for no reason.
Was it any Austin by any chance? The
It may have
channel you
been. It was
saw?
in my
Remember?
recommended, so I
Okay.
didn't like note
I
the
gotcha.
name.
I gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, it was that little the little fountain in the where the booze are in the kind of that courtyard backyard area that right there on a plaque. It's very blurry. You can't read it, but yeah, it's what Austin said. It says L is real. People tried to like, some people are like, oh, you have to beat the game without dying. All 120 stars, or oh, you have to beat it in this time, or things like that. And some people would actually upload pictures to the internet and like on like newgrounds.com and stuff like that with like Luigi standing in the game. Obviously he was just like hacked in, or the texture was, just modded in like Skyrim mods or whatever.
Right.
But it was one of those really cool, kind of internet memes, and it's been passed down. But I remember but yeah, so we never had that, as a kid. I never had, but I remember I thought there was a secret fourth switch. You know how there's the red, blue, and green.
Oh yeah, for the wing
flying,
caps and stuff.
invisible.
Yeah.
I thought there was a purple one for some reason, and I was like, bro, David, we gotta find the purple switch, bro. We didn't know what the ability would have been. Oh, would it be like he can teleport or something, but I remember we were trying to look for that for the longest time. I don't know if it was like weeks or whatever, but it was that was one of my fondest memories, was just trying to like 100 it, even though we already definitely did.
I miss
fun time.
the vibe of like playing a video game and that childish like wonder of like, what is like the craziest thing I can figure out, or like you don't
Right.
even have like the
Yeah.
knowledge like like pre-internet, or like have even like your child brain can like properly like comb the internet for information kind of
Right.
stuff, where you're just like, oh, we gotta get these cheats and we gotta figure out it's like such good memories. Like I remember just doing that with like my friends in Pokemon. We would like get the walk through walls cheats and figure
Yeah.
out, oh, this is how we get to the Dark Moon Island and go to Darkrai, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Always just like it scratches that. It's like a perfect itch that for nostalgia in my brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, so obviously we all have fond memories of this game. It's very nostalgic for all of us. What's like your favorite areas in the game? What's like your favorite like stuff that's going on in the game? Because like there's a lot of really iconic and memorable levels and things that happen in this game. Like we all talked about the penguin. Like that's already something like we all seem to have a staple core memory about. So like I'll pass as a question. I'll pass the first answer off to somebody else. We'll do Zach. We'll go back to Zach. How about where was like what's like some of your favorite areas of the game?
I'm gonna refer to like more like since I started playing as adult, because I honestly don't have a ton of attachment to the game from being a kid beyond like those
Yeah.
basic two like impressions. I would say like favorite. You mean like favorite stage to play, or
Yeah, stage or like area of a stage. Yeah, any of that kind of
I mean,
stuff.
I think somewhere like TTM is really cool and fun to do well, but it's
Yep.
also like
Yep.
the stage that's like the easiest to just blow 2 minutes on if you're going quickly. So there's a lot of give and take, you know.
Yeah, TTM's is a cool level. I always found that one interesting because I would like when I found the slide bit, I wasn't on that star. I just kind of like jumped in there by mistake, and I was like, oh my god, I found this crazy secret.
Is this
crazy.
where L is?
Yeah,
he
this
really
is
is real.
Exactly. Leanne, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, kind of stealing Zach's answer because I was thinking the same stage, but with TTM, I mean, like, it's weird because casually I always loved TTM. It was like definitely like by far my favorite. But then speedrun wise, I can't stand it. So it's literally so it's like the complete polar opposite.
Yeah.
Just because there's just so much that can go wrong that I just dread it every time. But I really like Rainbow Ride as well. It's really grown on me. Or Rainbow Ride. I always say Rainbow Ride, Rainbow Road. I don't know. But yeah, I like that a lot as well. Now that I know like the movement more, just because there's a lot of different tricks and stuff you can do in Rainbow Ride. So I find that a fun one as well. I don't think like I appreciated that one enough in the past, but lately I do. So I like that one as well.
I think one thing that's really interesting about Rainbow Ride and a lot of these levels, to be honest, is when you look at them from. You ever seen any diagrams that show them like zoomed out? Rainbow Ride is such an interesting like place to just see.
Yeah.
It's like so open and it's just a bunch of blocks connected. It's like it's barely even a level. You know?
I always said it's like little Jimmy's second grade art project. You know, just his first art project he threw together, and there you go, Mom. Put it on the fridge. It's just a bunch of just geometry kind of floating
Like
up in the air.
some Mario Maker level made by a child or something.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. What about you, Fuse?
I like the sunken ship area. I don't know the names that
Jolly
well. I
Roger
do apologize.
Bay.
Jolly Roger
Bay.
Yeah.
Like swimming around. I like the ship. I was like, yes, we're just gonna steal a bunch of treasure because I really like pirates as a kid. So I was like, yes, this is my place to be. I'm gonna enjoy this place. It's gonna be awesome.
Best music as well there.
It does, yeah.
Yes.
The music
Oh,
there
yeah.
is so good.
Yeah.
That will definitely be one that we listen to later. Mine. Oh man. So from a casual, we'll talk more about speedrunning later. So from a casual perspective, I really enjoyed like a lot of the basement levels, especially Lethal Lava Land. I loved Lethal Lava Land as a kid, just like because I would always like once I discovered you could go into the volcano on any replay, I would just do that first because I was like, volcano time, let's go. You know, like it'd be just so sick. And it was really fun doing that level. And it's also like kind of the first time that you're encountering like something like stupid dangerous and it's like actual like really difficult. I also really enjoy SSL, especially because of the pillars. As a kid discovering that and like getting inside of the pyramid and fighting the boss was just such a crazy like puzzle for me. I was like, what is going on in this level? Like I don't understand. It's so crazy that there's like levels within the level and and when you die there, you respawn back inside of the inner level that's in the level. It's just a cool concept. I don't think they've really explored in other 3D Mario games, like level inside level. Maybe like a quick, like if you compared it to maybe Galaxy where there's like the monkey levels that you do, and I don't know, so something like that maybe. But anyways, those are probably some of my favorites. Also TikTok clock was always really fun. I always found it fascinating and like, ooh, when am I gonna stop the
Crazy
time?
level.
Right.
When am I gonna stop
Yeah, it is a
What's
really
gonna happen?
interesting. The fact that it's literally just a vertical stage is really cool, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So a little last bit about like kind of casually about Mario 64. How do we think that this game changed game? We don't have to all talk on this topic just because it's like we'll probably all kind of say the same thing. But like, how do you guys think that changed like the landscape of like 3D gaming and like maybe talk about like, oh man, how Mario controls and like how the level design and whatnot. I can pass it off to one of my hosts. Let's do Fuse. Talk about this. Tell us about like how you think this like changed stuff.
I think it made more games have like characters that we could easily punt off of cliffs. Dude, I was like, please do not ask me. I have no idea.
That's okay. That's
That's a
okay.
good answer.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. It's funny. It farms the clips, right?
Yeah. I was like, there's more people that go and like throw off of a building. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
It's something new, something we hadn't explored
Yeah.
before. So
I think it was daring to go for a 3D world game, and I think it just like almost inspired other companies that were making games besides Nintendo. Like, okay, so if Nintendo can do this, we got to start making something on the side here as well. And then we had stuff like that just kind of like birthed out. Then we go directly from there. We go to like Sunshine, then Odyssey, and then just keep stacking itself because it was a great game right at the start, and I always wonder what it would look like if they like completely like remade and remastered it to like this day and age. Which would be kind of cool. But I think it was definitely I guess a start to the era of 3D gaming almost, because I can't really think of that many beyond that was 3D gaming besides that one.
It
at least early on.
wasn't the first 3D game, but I would say it's the first one to like popularize the
Pop
genre.
off.
Yeah.
And also, like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Zach.
It kind of, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it kind of opened this huge portal where every single developer or like console was they were obsessed with making games that would have like a figurehead character that they could sell a ton of things around. Like you had Spyro, Crash. I mean, literally every single Banjo-Kazooie, every one was based around an iconic character. And then the idea was to like create this huge line that could just keep going.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, if even if it wasn't the first one, it defined a generation, maybe if not multiple generations of like how 3D platformers were played and how 3D platformers were to be conducted and how the industry just saw like that's it. That's how you have to do it. It has to have good controls. It has to be really tight, and it has to be almost like a playground that this person can just have a good time in and not have to worry about like, oh, it's not like this is why I feel like Sonic fails in a 3D sense, because it's like it's so hard to like control Sonic at some times.
True.
And you're always slowing down. But in like Mario 64, I mean, like once you get that momentum built and you're really mastering the skills, like especially as a speedrunner, when you master the skills of like how to be really quick and jump and do all of it, it feels really good and it feels really amazing. It's impressive that that movement has literally stood the test of time for almost I mean, when did this game come out? Like 96 or something like that, or 98?
96, yeah.
I
I
think,
mean,
yeah.
it stood the test of time. I mean, it'll be 30 years old in 2026.
Scary.
So that's scary concept, but it's impressive. It's very impressive what they pulled off with this game. I mean, and it defined every single 3D Mario as well after the fact.
It's
so.
interesting to think about it from a standpoint of like, imagine what 3D platformers would have been like if Mario 64 didn't happen, because I feel like I think the ball was already kind of rolling in the direction, so it makes you wonder what would have changed, you know?
Yeah.
Have any of you seen
100%.
like the old commercials when they were advertising 64 when it was first coming out? Because sometimes I'll just go on YouTube and watch them, and it's like the most fascinating thing ever, just to see how people reacted at the time. So I love doing that. Yeah.
And then also like the Smash Bros for the 64, you know, that the very first, and it's the I forget what the song is called, but it's, you know, all of them holding, and it's kind of like a creepy commercial.
Oh yeah, they're all in
because,
the costumes, and Yoshi like trips one of them, and then they're all fighting in the mascot costumes. It's so funny.
Such a weird one.
Have you seen the Pokemon Red and Blue commercial?
No.
Oh,
Where,
wait,
like,
is that the
all
one
the
where
Pokemon get on
the
get on the
bus?
bus and they literally smash them together into the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just killed a bunch of Pokemon. You just killed them all.
They're all dead.
No, they're in the game, Fuse. They're in the game.
They made a second one. I didn't know that. Like they're like two kids across from each other in apartment buildings, and they threw a cable to each other to trade, and the Pokemon are crawling on the cable, and like Psyduck goes on it and then falls off. I'm like, Psyduck, no.
Rip.
Psyduck's gone. He's dead. You killed him.
Dead. Not the duck.
Oh, that poor duck. That poor man's.
And that explains why in future gaming that they would throw stuff off of buildings and stuff. So
It all comes back to.
It all comes back around. Yeah.
It all comes back to Call of Duty. Don't forget.
Amen.
Call of Duty. Yep.
Where would Call of Duty be if Mario 64 didn't happen? That's the real question.
Exactly, man. Black Ops 3.
Wouldn't happen.
Thank you, Mario.
No
64.
zombies.
I think. I mean, it's Because for with like Legend of Zelda and Mario collectathons these days, you kind of already have that groundwork. Obviously, Breath of the Wild really changed up the formula for Zelda, or maybe some could argue and say it kind of took it back to its roots, in some ways, things like that. But I'm sure the devs, they were like, what do we do? We're told we're going to a 3D environment, 3D everything. How do we do this? Same with Ocarina of Time. How do we start this? Where do we go?
Right.
And they just, they struck diamond with, their own tools and their own talents. I think Austin, like you were saying, it just feels good to build that momentum with the controls, jump, do everything. I'll randomly boot up the game nowadays, just run around, do like the slider level, or maybe fly up in the sky, on the red switch level, and I'll just be like, it's just fun,
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy, yeah. Without Mario 64, even if it wasn't the first 3D platformer technically or whatever, games obviously would be very, very different.
I mean, you could say a lot of things about Nintendo, but I think, especially back then, it's hard to say that they aren't, like, they were very fearless about any decisions they made creatively with that stuff. They were not afraid to fail, certainly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. That game. I know that game has its own, fan base, but woo, man, they definitely took a turn in it.
They took a risk with it, that's for sure.
A face not even a mother could love.
Game Freak.
Yeah. For real, oh my
Staring
gosh.
you down.
Man, we dunk on Game Freak a ton here. So if y'all ever have something to dunk on Game Freak about, you're more than welcome.
It's just it's unexplainable how they made so much money and put out such lackadaisical games.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't. Pokemon fans they're a little too loyal, I would say. So, anyways, all right, this kind of sort of leads us into speedrunning half, but let's talk about first just like some mechanics in the game that we enjoy. They could be either power-ups, like this movement in general. I know we already kind of talked about the movement. I'll start this kind of discussion. I think the wing cap is such a cool thing in concept, but in practice sucks ass.
So bad. No, it is so bad, the wing cap.
The way you glide with it, like the way it works in Mario Galaxy, that's like chef's kiss. That's like how I feel like it should have worked, and maybe that's how they made it work, and they made it work like less fluidly to add challenge to it. But like, I don't know, I just felt like the wing cap is just it's just such a weird, like, you're building this momentum and you're doing down, and there's no real gauge of like, okay, how much momentum have I built? It's just you kind of have to visually gauge it and hope that you did the right amount. And that's
really
like
tough.
one of my,
it's really tough.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably like one of my things I'm not a huge fan about, but
I think any momentum based movement that is the learning curve is really high. So like sliding, flying, and swimming are like the three. Specifically, flying and swimming are two areas that if you practice them a ton, it's like you can just gain time over other people because it's so easy to lose time on it.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to see my favorite move in Mario 64 really quickly? A little aside from speedrunning?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to share the screen really quickly. This is from one of my like most favorite Game Grumps playthroughs.
You need to send me this after so I can show so that everybody can see it.
It already looks
good.
For
sure. So this was a long time ago when Game Grumps was playing through this game. He's trying to catch Mips in the basement right now. But
the grab mechanic. Oh yeah, I remember this.
Mario?
Like, what is this even? You don't even use that mechanic for anything. Right. I don't think. I mean, I guess you could technically beat enemies with it, but
I always love just the really awkward. I mean, obviously there's no really like any utility to that move, but I always thought that was really cool to do that, just like for flexing purposes.
Yeah.
Or like when you do that weird kind of skip. Like like butt skip.
Oh
or
yeah, the slide kick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the slide kick. That
one does have like, especially in speedrunning, it has like purposes.
Yeah,
in
it looks really
areas.
Cool.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. I always thought those because a casual little Jimmy's gonna be doing all triple jumps, maybe a couple wall kicks here and there, the fly cap, all that, but he's not gonna coffee grind. He's not gonna know about that unless he like I did earlier when I was younger. But I think those are charming little touches to the game.
Yeah, I feel like the coffee grind move normally happens like if you're messing up your speedrun, anytime you're trying to do the butt slide, you'll end up like outside HMC doing breakdancing, and it's the most annoying thing when you're like near the end of a run.
Yeah.
Oh
Waste of
yeah,
time.
I can. Yeah, I could just like feel the rage, like when like, you'll like see. I've seen like Cheese before. Obviously, I don't know if specifically that move, but he'll accidentally do something wrong, and I'm like, bro, I know if I was him, I'd be like, just controller out the window kind of feel. It's it looks infuriating.
It's especially infuriating because like for example with like accidental ground pounds, that's literally 1 second wasted, literally
Yep.
just 1 second, and the accidental like breakdancing, I think it's like a second and a half, 2 seconds, because
Really
sometimes
that long?
I
didn't know
like
that.
yeah, I mean, it happens to me sometimes going back into LOL, or at least it did in the beginning of because I do the slide back into the painting, and
yeah.
sliding
Yeah.
that's the function is that. But when you do it without momentum, you break dance. So I would literally just be break dancing in the middle of it.
And you're like, Mario, stop it. This isn't
I,
what is it? Mario, this isn't Mario DDR. Stop it right now.
Oh man, I always had a question. I know you're supposed to when you're speed running and you leave a course after you get a star, you want to hit the continue without saving because that's technically faster than saving. Is it like how much time do you lose for clicking the save instead of?
Oh, it's okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's mostly like a loading thing. So it's like
Okay.
if when you save, it takes like a half second or something like that to like
Right.
write it to the memory.
It's a lot less than a
versus when
half
you-
second each time. It's pretty small, to be honest. I don't think it would
Yeah.
matter a ton until you get like a pretty good time. I don't want to say what time it would be because I definitely don't know that. But
Yeah.
I gotcha.
It usually is like in longer runs, especially like a 120 star is when it like adds up a ton, and
Yeah.
when you're just it's better to just go down and hit don't save versus.
Right.
Also, if you play like me and you don't have like a whatever those called ever drives. Oh no, we lost Fuse.
Cameras fuck up.
Oh,
Hold on,
good.
let me fix that.
If you don't have like an EverDrive or for Wonder Drive or whatever the thing's called,
EverDrive, yeah, you got
and
it.
You're playing on an original hardware. It's also just makes it easier for you to like reset after the fact, and so you don't have to like go in, delete a save, come back.
Yeah.
So it's also just it's just good practice, I suppose, at this point. So
Right.
there are some cool other like there's cool things like it's called menu glitch where basically when you're selecting a star, you hold left as you're choosing the star, and then what that does is it kind of pre-buffers once you get to the save menu. You just hold down and it'll zoom you down to the bottom like as quick as possible instead of you having to
I
double
know
tap.
that. That's actually sick.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back.
I'm gonna use it. Oh, that's why he's
He got the Mario back.
He left us. Yeah, look at him go.
Bro, the coffee
gonna-
grind.
that's
Is
gonna
that
light
actually
this
called
over.
coffee
Dude,
grind?
he's ready. He's going in, dude.
Where are his eyes? Why do they look? Is he
They're like-
happy? Oh, I
yeah.
see.
They're like caved
Like
in.
Brock on
That's
Pokemon
creepy.
or whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
I think the long jump is pretty just cool by itself as a concept. Like just being able to just and just like have Mario just launch himself. I mean, yeah, there's a bit of momentum, but you don't need much really to
Yeah.
get that thing actually, kicking. And the way you can just like chain them together over and over again throughout the entire game. I don't know. The only other thing I can think of that's like similar into that kind of flow state is like in Mario Sunshine when you're doing like the belly slides and you're like hopping and doing that
Yep.
kind of that moment, that like back to back to back momentum, just choo choo choo, and then just the amount of like options of movements you have in this game that's so old is kind of crazy, and like how you chain certain things together, like being able to like jump dive out of a triple jump and seeing yourself just go flying versus if you just to jump and dive. It's really really interesting, and like really interesting mechanics you kind of pick up, and especially that you just kind of you hone in and you become an expert in, and once you've mastered the game in terms of like speedrunning and whatnot. So that aside, let's go into the speedrunning history of it a little bit. Mostly just like how did this for the speedrunners in the room, how did we first speedrun it? What made you want to speedrun it? And then like what kind of finally hooked you in on it? So I'll start and let you guys think about it. For me, I watched So Much Simply. I literally watched like him religiously through college. Not really religiously, but a lot. And I already had a ton of familiarity with the game just growing up with it. I was like, oh, I love playing this game. I know how the movement works and whatever. And so I just simply from watching his speedruns, I was able to kind of cobble together my very first speedrun of the game ever was like a sub 30.
Nice.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
like-
That's impressive.
So like
Yeah.
I was able to kind of just pick up really quickly. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just try it and see what happens. And so that sub 30, I was like, wow, that's actually a really good time for somebody who's never done this before. And I just, I've fine tuned it in a little bit from there. Not quite an expert I'm not that sub 20 level yet, but hey, we'll get there. But definitely that's kind of what hooked me, was like watching Simply and watching other people in the community just like speed run, and like watching how they do tricks and how the movement works. And I don't know, I always found it more interesting than say like Galaxy or Sunshine, just because I mean Sunshine I think has a really good movement and whatnot, but I don't know, Galaxy especially is just so different and so floaty that I just couldn't think, I don't really, it's not really as interesting to me to speed
The
run.
run's also like 4 hours minimum long, so it's
Pretty
kind of
long.
Yeah,
unapproachable.
It's such a gauntlet, man. Don't even get me started on Mario Galaxy 2 speedruns. Those things are,
It's like 6 hours, right?
yeah, they're like marathons. Yeah, they're ridiculously long. It's like, dude, that's like to speedrun that. It's like literally like double the amount of time I like stream. Like,
Just split it
it's
up.
just ridiculous. Yeah,
You
exactly.
get one
Like, come on,
attempt.
man.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the nice thing about Mario 64 speedrunning is like it's very approachable. Even if you've never played the game before, like learning and doing a 16-star run it's pretty like approachable once you've like learned the movements, and you could probably beat the game in under 30 minutes if you get there. You know what I mean? Or even in under an hour. Like, I don't know. And I think that's pretty incredible from a speedrunning perspective. That there just is this, it's such an approachable speedrun and such an approachable thing. I mean, there's a reason why it's the most, well, maybe not anymore. I guess Minecraft's technically, but was the most speedrun game of all time at this point. So, I'll pass it to Leanne first. Leanne, how did you get hooked in?
Yeah, I mean, I was at the time like speedrunning Wind Waker HD, which is like a very different speedrun to Mario games, really.
Yeah.
And like I was getting a bit burnt out, and my friend Jonah I was watching him do some runs of it and stuff. And like a lot of people had told me 16 star was easy to get into, so like you say with it being approachable, I'm pretty sure I learned it in like a few hours even. Like I didn't get a sub 30 or anything. It was probably like 50-ish minutes maybe, but you got the run done.
Still.
And then like I planned on doing it for a week, and it's been 2 years, so like it got
Did you
it got
play?
too
Did you
addictive,
run
but-
Sunshine or 64 first?
I ran 64 first, yeah.
Cool.
I always wanted to do Sunshine as well, but yeah, I know that came like later, but I yeah, like I said, I just got hooked, and then was only gonna do 16, and then 70 went to do, and eventually 120. So, and then I think because my friend is like, we get very competitive as well. We just kept going back and forth, and I think that's what motivated me
Yep.
to keep improving as well, for sure. Yeah,
Like Tetris. Yeah, your one friend.
Yeah.
You guys keep one-upping each other.
you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would assume like having a rival like that also just kind of motivates you to keep going and keep pushing yourself. Like
Yeah.
that's always really nice to have a friend like that. Or
Absolutely.
somebody who can be like that in your life.
It's the same level as well, like the same kind of times and stuff. It's easy to keep going back and
Mhm.
forth.
Yeah, it's difficult if like you're somebody who's like, if you just for example, because the name's on my mind, if you were to like Simply was to get you into the game, and,
Yeah, it wouldn't work out.
Dude can hit lobby BLJs and do like
Yeah.
has set a world record and versus somebody. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
for
It just
Simply
wouldn't-
too, him and Cheese and even Punke, like the three of them kind of all came
Mhm.
up together,
They did the
grinding
same
all
thing.
together.
Help each other, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they still kind of do it to this day.
Mhm.
And it's crazy that they kind of keep that friendship and keep. I don't know. It's really cool, the camaraderie in the community. Which, yeah, I mean that we could talk about that in a little bit, but yeah. Zach, tell us about it. How'd you get hooked?
So I actually knew like literally nothing about speedrunning before I started, like 2.5 years ago. I was playing Dead Cells for the first time and just like playing quickly. Someone in my chat was like, "You should try the speedrun of it." And I was like, "Speedrunning sounds interesting." And then one of my best friends was like, "I watch Simply a lot. Maybe check him out and see like if it looks fun to you." And I checked Simply out, and that got me into Mario 64. And I like checked out the resources, and Wikipedia is like incredibly easy to learn from if you put in the time and effort. And then I was hooked. And I actually, this was really stupid, but my first thing with speedrunning, I didn't do 16 star. I made a challenge to do 120 star in under 4 hours within 3 months from the start of learning to 3 months. And if I didn't, then I would have to do like a
What is it?
24-hour
Hang on,
stream or
Zach,
something.
Your audio's died.
Am I here?
Or we can't hear you. Oh wait, there you go.
Oh,
You're
there we
back.
go.
Oh, my
So, yeah,
everything
how's that
stayed okay in OBS, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I would say as long as your OBS is fine, we're chilling. We just couldn't hear you in Discord
Okay,
anymore.
so I'll just resume.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going, you're fine.
Basically, I set a challenge for myself. My first thing with speedrunning Mario 64 was a 120 star challenge. I didn't do 16. I just picked up an Xbox controller and said, if I can.
Here we go.
Yeah, it was. I mean, playing on Xbox controller was
That's
hell. To
impressive.
be honest, it was really awful.
Oh my
You have like no notches at all, so it's literally like cannonless is impossible. You can't hold down. So
Right.
Dude.
I said I've got 3 months to get sub 4 hours and 120 star from the start of learning to that time, and I did it in like 2.5. I got like a 350, and then from there I was just hooked and just kept going. Before that, I was
Yeah.
complete variety and did music on stream, and then from
wow.
there on, I literally just speedrun now.
Now you're stuck forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. You like once you get dedicated to the whole speedrunning scene, whatever game it is, you just want to keep doing.
Well,
that.
I think it really. I'm sure, Leanne, you've heard this from people that are like chatters or friends or whatever. That a lot of people either get into it like we did and get stuck in it in like a good way and like love it and huge amount of satisfaction from it, and then the other side is people immediately know it's not for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just give up straight away. They're like, nah. Doesn't have the same vibe as variety streaming, really. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you mentioned the Xbox controller thing. You might call me insane. When I go on like trips and stuff, sometimes I'll speed run with this pro controller. I hit cannonless all the time pretty consistently with it. So I'd say
I don't know how you do, man.
I don't know
remember
how
you
I do
showed
it,
me a little bit.
but like I don't know, I just kind of eyeball it and it works most of the
Hey
time.
man, people make notched shells for that pro controller on Etsy. You could grab one for travel.
Oh, I'm sure I could actually.
They're not even like
Make
that
a notch
expensive.
Myself, just like saw it in.
You'd
Yeah,
have
literally just
to
like
get like
just rig it
a
up
heavy
yourself.
file. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do the what is it when you used to do in N64 where they just groove it into the edges? Yeah. Anyways, well, yeah, that's awesome. So, resources. While we're on the topic of kind of getting into speedrunning, what are some resources you guys would say, like if people who are either new to the scene or maybe they're been in the scene and they want to get into speedrunning and they want to try things out? What are some like resources, things that you would say either like get physically or maybe just like places to go online to figure out like, okay, here's like community members and whatnot. I don't know. I started with Leanne last time. So Zach, do you know anything about
Yeah,
any resources that people could use?
I would say I'm like obsessive about learning. To be honest, I try
Yeah.
and figure a lot of stuff out. But yeah, I would say Wikipedia is like if you're brand new, just go there, join the Mario 64 Discord, and they have resource documents that show the easiest way to get into it. Like if you're brand new, so you just play on computer on emulator, which is cool.
Yeah.
And you can make save states to practice, or you can download Usamune and use that as your practice ROM. Totally legal, Nintendo for sure. Don't
Yeah.
sue me.
Sure.
But yeah,
we don't
no,
do
like
that. No, we were just saying
Wikipedia
it's
is just
We buy our Switches.
Every game we play is just like me playing Metroid Prime 2 recently. Definitely doing it the legal way.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I would just throw out there if you like don't have the money to I mean, I know like emulation's free, but like if you don't, I don't know, if you already own a Switch, I would say, I mean, the Groove controller thing, yeah, that is a problem, but not the Mario 64 on the 3D All Stars, but the version that's on the Virtual Console, you can run that version. It has BLJs, it has the proper all that stuff, so you can speed run that version if you just to see if you like it, honestly.
And I think
It's different than doing it on the
3D
original
All Stars
hardware, but-
one you could run 70 on that one, right? Because there's no BLJs.
Yes, you could run 70 on that one if you have that and you don't have the Virtual Console. But yeah, that one. Those are like the two, like I would say that's something like if you only have a Switch and you're just trying to see if you like it, I would definitely say use that route first, for sure.
Like,
What about you, Leanne?
I was gonna say with the Switch, I mean, you can get the like adapter thing as well. So like I play on GameCube controller even. So if you get the adapter
yeah.
thing, you can use that with the notches, which is handy.
Nice.
Yeah, like definitely, like Zach was saying, Usamune is like a big one. For me, like when I was learning 70 at least, I specifically there was Blue Bob 70 star run. Like I always remember this because if I didn't watch the video, I wouldn't have been able to get into it, I don't think. But I literally just like followed that video on YouTube, just like I think it's called like 70-star beginner tutorial or something. And I just copied that basically. And then if there was any star I was really struggling with, I would just swap it for one I did as a kid. And then there was only like a few. So that's like a really easy way if you're not too fussed about like grinding out hard practice and you just want to get a run done to begin with and then like improve your skills later on and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that's a good one. I've heard good things about that.
I'll have to check that one out because once I do get this sub 20, I will 70 star.
Oh, you're gonna have so much
Start
fun,
out.
man. It's so good.
I'm scared I'm gonna get too addicted to it. It's gonna become all my content, but that's fine.
It will be great. It will be great content.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're gonna have to slap him when he starts doing it in the middle of our recording for podcasts.
Just like you hear me the stick slapping. Like what is it in Melee?
Say the next question.
All right, well, sick. So for you guys, even if you're not a speedrunner, we could answer this question because I'm sure everybody here is at least, even if you're not a speedrunner, I've had people that have asked me like they've at least tried carpetless once or they've at least tried BLJs once. What's like your favorite trick or like movement thing that's specifically for speedrunning? So like mine is the three that come to mind for me. There's three. I mean, carpetless is always it's always solid. It's always really cool when you pull it off. It's like, oh shit, I hit it. That's sick. Anytime I grab the penguin, I know it's super simple, but when you grab the penguin and you just slide down, you go flying off the side of the course. It's super simple and like it's really hard to. I mean, like once you've got it, it's really hard to mess it up. But I don't know. Every time I do it, I just kind of like I'm really satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a trick I've learned myself recently is doing Shy Guy, like doing to the pillar in LLL.
Klepto?
No, not LLL, excuse me, SSL.
Yeah.
And you jump off the pillar and you land on the Shy Guy and you fly into the bird. That's always super satisfying to hit for me. I think visually though, like triple box is sick.
That is a cool trick.
Yeah. But I can't hit it. I want to learn it, but I can't. Let's throw it to the non-speedrunners first to see so they have something. But well, if you don't have a trick and you wanted to do a trick, what trick would it be? And then also if you have tried a trick, what trick is that? We'll do Fuse first.
Kick the kid.
Every time it's kick the baby penguin. He's gone. Sure.
I'm trying to go on 5 or 6 year old Fuse's memory.
Oh, okay.
Trying to remember.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I guess the only trick I really learned was I think it was the first level where you go down this like little pathway and you backflip off the wall and then up and then there's a star right there. Like I practiced it for our verses. Like there's the first area, there's like the tree, and then you have to like climb up to the top and
he's on a wild blue
to the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wild blue area where you go down the stairway, you backflip off the wall, bounce off, and then you land there, and then you get the star that's there. That was the only trick I basically had a chance. Yeah.
Have you gotten to watch much of the speedrunning, Fuse?
Not at all. I watched it one video just because I knew that he was gonna make me play Mario 64 speedrunning, and I was like, I'm gonna at least make this dude sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to get it to have there, because he had to get 8 and I had to get you had to get 16, I had to get 8.
So what I do for my verses is I usually have one of my games is Mario 64. I have to beat Mario 64 before they beat Bowser 1. That's like the goal. That's like the caveat. So and usually if they haven't speedrun the game before, 9 times out of 10 they haven't or even haven't even played it. So I usually tell them where to go. I'm like, okay, go here, do this, but I usually swamp them in it. But it's always fun to see them like try the new tricks, and especially for somebody who's like never even played the game. So yeah.
Dude, I tried to get on the bird to drop down and get the star, and I kept missing it. So upset.
Oh, the owl.
He woke up the owl.
Yeah. The dude hates me.
Gabe, what about yourself?
Growing up, probably like 10 years ago or so before I knew about the whole speedrunning thing, but I would see the, BLJ and everything, and I always thought that was so cool. And then I did it one day. I think it was on my Wii U. Probably back in like 2017, 2018, I did it on that, and I was like, oh my god, I just did it. I got up the infinite stairs. It was crazy. But the greatest evolution of that, I always think it's so cool and impressive how we found it is the initial BLJ into Dark World.
Right.
How
BLJ.
the fuck did people find out about that, man? How? Like, that's what I'm at. That's like, it's so like esoteric, you know, just because it's like, how did you know to go there and then BLJ and then you like turn your camera and then you just like, obviously that just takes hours and days and weeks and stuff of just figuring it out. But I think it's so cool how that's like, you know, and that's not the only super crazy in-depth trick we've learned in the game.
Not even talking about like it's a similar thing as like MIPS. Like MIPS is just
The MIPS clip,
is
yeah.
also crazy.
Yeah, the MIPS clip in Austin. You taught me the MIPS clip in the basement. I was so impressed. I had seen it prior to that, but still doing it myself or watching you do it, I was like, oh, it's right in front of me. It's actually happening.
and
oh my
it's
goodness.
so particular to actually get them through the door. So it's like, how the hell? Did anybody
Correct
just,
me
like,
if
randomly
I'm
do this?
wrong, but I'm pretty sure that 16 star is like the main like shorter category that isn't 0 or 1.
Correct.
But before MIPS clip was discovered, I believe 31 star was like the shortest way to beat the game because they didn't know how to get past to use MIPS in that way. And then that was discovered in like 98 or 2000 or something. I don't know the exact. I'm not really a historian with the older stuff like that, but yeah, I think that's the order of how it went.
It's crazy, like how long ago some people found this. Because I mean, I didn't find speedrunning until like 2018. So when I hear there's like videos from even like late 2000s, it blows my mind. I'm like, I can't believe people were doing this back then. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were. I think they were all like on forums, like sharing just text and sharing like videos of them recording their CRT playing the game and stuff.
Yeah. That's another another crazy trick I've been seeing Cheese do recently on his 120 world attempts and all that. It's called the frame walk in Jolly Roger Bay. He tries to go up one of those like spear pillars, the spiky, they look just like needles or whatever. Yeah. And he has to frame walk up it is what it's called, and it looks really.
Yeah, you have to go you basically have to go like this. You like go up and then have to quickly. It's a digital input, so you're like tricking the game into letting you repeatedly push up without sliding down. So you have to do that like 8 to 12 times and gain the height up there, and then slide down, pivot into it, and hit the wall.
Right. I remember when Simply was like, if we ever have to do frame walk consistently, it's gonna be so optimized, and it's like, okay, now that's like the norm for world record runs. It's like you have to frame walk. And like, oh my god, that's crazy. All right, let's go to the speedrunners. Leanne, what's some of your favorite tricks and cool things to pull off?
Well, I do love BLJs. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of things in the game that I struggle to get, but BLJs, I don't know if it's because it's a timing thing or what, but I actually, like, I find them okay to do. I don't do LBLJs, but just the one, like the standard ones in 16 stars. So I love doing them. And I have like a stupid strat where I go out loud and it helps me do it. So I like doing it for that reason.
It works.
It does help.
Yeah.
That does help for sure.
I've seen people do like the metronome or whatever. Like they do like the they play the Gerudo Valley. Yeah, the Gerudo Valley has like the same like that beat.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that.
Like, yeah, it's the same like pattern, and that's like the perfect way to get. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Continue though.
That's alright. But I love going to like my friends' streams and telling them that because they'll always say like it sounds stupid, it's not going to work, and then they'll get it and they'll have to reluctantly be like, it's fine. I can have to start saying do out loud. So yeah, I like that, and I like I think is it called silly kick, Zach? I don't even know the time.
Like just holding A and then tapping B.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it like a trick or a glitch, but like I just think that's so overpowered.
It's a cool mechanic, I think, for sure.
A mechanic, if you're failing a lot and just to know like any slope, you can just hold A and spam B. Like when I found that out, it just made the game so much easier and like more open. So yeah, I really like those as well.
Yeah, that was like a lifesaver for me, especially in Bowser in the Sky when you like just for some reason you just can't get that triple jump up that huge staircase that's supposed to be there or that ramp. You're just like, oh god, I need to go. Yeah, it just works.
Yeah.
What about you, Zach?
So I have like two different approaches to this, which I think are fun. So the first one is what really gets me like satisfied and fulfills me with speedrunning this game is tricks that at first are like make no sense to me, but then like my brain wraps its head around the muscle memory of it, and slowly but surely I like start to pick it up. So lately that's been breezeless and TTM, which is really tough, and this type of thing that a year ago I couldn't even conceptualize what to do to get it to work consistently, and now my movement is just like leveled up from practicing and just game experience that it just works a lot of the time now. So I'd say that one first, and then the second approach to the answer that I have is really just I think it's so cool. I've been doing 120 grinding, learning all that. So from a more macro level, it's so cool to me that no matter what idea you have that you want to do in the game and that anyone has an idea to do, it feels like the game was designed for you to be able to chain a certain amount of moves together in an optimized way, which is so crazy to me. Like something like Owlus, you would think they wouldn't design the game to be able to do something like that, you know? And that's just one example. You could name like 50 of these types of movements where it feels like we've been able to, not me, but like the community has been able to develop like chains of movement in a row where it's like pixel perfect movement, just different things chained together with very little dust or like imperfections. It's so cool. It feels more like an art sometimes when you see it like that.
The first point you made, Zach, obviously very different game, but you know, the kind of that growth, and you know, at first it's impossible and you fail a lot, but then you know, the more, like you said, you conceptualize and wrap your head around the muscle memory. It reminded me a lot of like my first Dark Souls 3 game, playthrough / Elden Ring playthrough. The first boss you fight, oh my god, this is impossible, and now I'm on my new game plus, and fighting all those, but it's easy. Fighting Margit is just so easy now, even though my weapon is obviously like OP compared to him now. But I mean, just you learn the boss's move sets, even just like main enemies, just like your run of the mill that respawn and everything. I think it's so cool to have those kind, like, just to see yourself grow from like little baby Gabe now max level or whatever, learning this move. It's super rewarding, and I think that's one of like the greatest things that can be introduced in a video game, is, leaving you with that feeling.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of I played a lot of racing games when I was a kid, like Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, and it reminds me a lot of doing like shadow time trials, because you're literally just racing against yourself, and then you try and optimize it little by little, and it's just the same exact satisfaction. It's so fun.
Right. Yeah.
100%. All right, Gabe, it's that time.
Oh, it's La Musica.
La Music time. If you guys have any music suggestions for Gabe, please just drop them. Like, just you guys can either drop the link or just say them verbally. Just be like, "Hey, play this level." For me, Jolly Roger Bay, 100% has to be one. Yeah, that has to be good one. I mean, there's so many.
JRB is the same as DDD, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
That's like the goated song. It's the easiest answer in the world, I think.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, 100%.
I got pretty much like all the obvious ones. I don't think I have Lethal Lava Land in here.
That's okay. It's not a great one. I won't lie.
Right. But if you guys have other ones,
they're the same as SSL too. It's like
it is.
Anyways, continue.
So first, of course, we got to do Peach's Castle. Her Majesty. We gotta
It's a good song.
I really like the castle song. I do enjoy it a lot.
Right. I have it my screen shared if you guys want to listen along, obviously, and all that stuff. But here we go.
You guys gonna make me want to speedrun after.
You're gonna see Leanne go live.
Yeah.
It's just so like. I think this is the first time they did an orchestrated song of a Mario game. Like, this is the first time they did like orchestrated whatever. Because I remember seeing on like the news or something back in the day, they had like a symphony of it playing the Mario 64, like it's like, wow, it's just such a like iconic theme. It's also really impressive how well it loops. I mean, all these songs loop really well. But like, I always think of like looping as like really like making a song that can loop pretty well is impressive. Because even somebody, we'll use Undertale as an example, who made songs for Toby Fox made like awesome songs for Undertale. But if you listen to it, they don't loop very well at all, actually. They're great songs in themselves. That's like the one flaw. So it's really impressive when you can make a song that you could literally listen to kind of infinitely and never notice that you've been listening to it for hours.
I think that this song actually adds into the liminal feeling of the castle and the lobby.
Yep. 100%.
It does. Because, I mean, you're greeted with Bowser's, laughing and his roar or groan and everything, but then so you're like, okay, this is scary, it's kind of creepy and everything, but then this song kicks in, it's super happy, so it gives you that contrast, and then also it's like you're in a grand concert hall, but it's empty, even though it's not empty. There's
exactly.
no people. Yeah,
it does feel, the song, it feels cheery and happy, but it also, like that echo for some reason, it feels empty. Yeah. It feels like it's like, whoa, there's way too much space here. There's something wrong. I don't know. It's, has a maniacal feel to it. But anyways.
And then the next one, of course, is considered the main theme, or, Baba on Battlefield, Tall Tall Mountain. Obviously have to include this one in here. It's so catchy, it's so silly, it's so fun.
Very bouncy.
Yeah. Very bouncy. You are Mario, you're jumping around. You're not running through this level without jumping.
Shout out to Smooth McGroove. He had been taking a hiatus from YouTube, and he just recently came back, and this was the song that he did when he came back. He's
I love Smooth McGroove.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, he's a he's the thing where like he'll sing like a part of a song, and then he'll just like overlay that with like 5 others of himself, and he'll sing like a whole song with it. It's literally, oh my god, wait, it's literally suggested. You see it? That's literally him.
Yeah,
It's right there.
it's
Yeah.
so he has like the whole thing going on. Love you, Smooth McGroove.
Yeah.
I've been listening to him for a few years now, off and on. And he gets his cat in here sometimes too. I forget his cat's name.
Yeah, it's in the top right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. But yeah, anywho, great song, very
great
catchy,
song, yes.
very great, like level 1 song. It's
They should
great,
use that
as
version
always.
instead if they make it again.
I agree.
I think he'd
100%.
be great in Mario Wonder. You know how the game kind of has like that, you know,
Oh,
acapella.
yeah.
Yeah, it already
Oh,
has
yeah.
that
That
acapella
would be good,
sound to
actually.
it.
Maybe they got
Yeah.
inspired by him.
Right.
Maybe, yeah. It's
a cool
We'll
idea.
see in the credits that he was already in it. You know, I don't know. Maybe. Anyways.
People tweeted at him. They were like, "Did you actually do it?" He was like, "No, I appreciate it, but that's not me." Even though it does kind of sound like my kind of music, doesn't it? And it was super wholesome. But
All right, here it
obviously
is.
we got to do Jolly Roger Bay / Dire Dire Docks, of
Docs,
course,
yep.
because it's gorgeous.
I'm gonna go to bed now.
Yep. Kind of 80s piano synth.
Yeah, it's using the same synth they use on like every hit in the 80s.
Yep. This is one of the most nostalgic tracks from my childhood as well. I think of, 4 or 5-year-old Gabe and, just the Midwest, like I used to live in Indiana, just sitting in the house, upstairs in the computer room playing this.
Yeah, I think this one sticks with a lot of people. Like, if you ask most people, even people who don't really play the game anymore, what one they remember, they'll always say Jolly Roger Bay, I feel like.
Yep, exactly. And of course, you'll find plenty of remakes of the song, or whether it's piano covers,
Yeah.
guitar covers, harp covers, remixes, lo-fi.
I think I like it
those
more in DDD, to be honest.
Yeah.
DDD
You don't want
feels
anyone
So okay. The way it works is if when you get on land or something like, or like when you come out of the water to like a different area. So in Jolly Roger Bay and DDD, it's like when you get on the sub, it gets like that. It gets that fast paced like drum beat to it. Yeah, I don't know. Is that in this or is it in? Maybe you have to look up like.
It's in the little cave with the stalagmites or whatever
No, I
those
meant
things
like
are.
in the video,
in the YouTube
sorry.
video.
I meant like I wonder if
my
it
bad.
gets to that or if it's like a thing that you have to specify when you. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. It builds to it. You still have to hear the cymbal slowly.
Getting it rolling.
It's like slowly building there.
Yep.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, yeah. This shit fucking rocks. I love it. And it's such a cool, I forget what the word is called in music theory for this, where it has like, it starts as one thing and then it like leads into this fast-paced bit and then it goes back to like the calm. It does the same thing in the Pokemon series. There's Lake Acuity, where it's just that, but then it picks up like kind of like 3 or 4 lines in, where it has that super fast-paced.
It's like crescendos or progresses,
something like that. Yeah,
ish around
And
those. Yeah.
it's just a really cool thematic thing they use in music. I don't know. I'm not Zach. You're the music guy. Your name's literally Zach Tunes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, Zach, you probably would.
It's just like an A-B section. But yeah, no, it's just really good, incredible composition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the one who does this? Is it Koji?
It
Kondo?
is, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. I know Koji Kondo, obviously Martin O'Donnell from Halo. Halo music. Everybody knows Halo music.
Oh yeah.
And then like Silent Hill music. I can't remember the composer for Akira Yamamoto. I don't know. Can't remember that. Yamamoto. I
Anyways,
don't know.
continue.
Anyways, this is the slider theme. So you remember the first
The
secret
one that
level,
gives
of
me
course?
anxiety.
This one is one of my
that's right.
least favorites, for sure.
It is the anxiety song.
At first, when you're a kid, it's cute and charming, but then nowadays we have PTSD from this for one reason or another.
Isn't this
Maybe
literally
part theme,
reused in RR and TTC as well?
Yeah.
It's
think so,
reused.
yeah.
I didn't never
TikTok
notice
clock.
this.
Rainbow Ride. It's used in the slide. It's used in every slide level, and then it's also used in TikTok Clock and Rainbow Ride.
Yeah, like I think casually it works because they're so like the levels are so spread out typically, and normally like you'll take ages to beat one, but when you're speedrunning it just becomes the most annoying thing ever because you're just doing them so quick together. It's just
Also,
over and over
like
again.
we all choke in Tippy so much, and to hear
Yeah.
this incredibly joyful music going in the background while I like hate my life is so
It's like,
infuriating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just
Very
this music
rude.
that makes you feel like you need to go fast.
Yes.
But you don't really need to. It's like, you're like, oh my god, I'm so
Telling you to
stressed.
panic.
Yeah.
It honestly has like a circus feel to it a little, where it's like
Yeah.
the Benny Hill theme. You're messing up, and you've got the Benny Hill theme playing behind you. It's like the same idea.
Or it reminds me. Do y'all remember the Goofy movie when they go and they go to the stop? That's like it's like country animatronic people. It makes me feel like this is what would play on like if there was like country animatronics or something.
Probably,
like that.
yeah.
Like, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, it's great. I mean, iconic. Oh, it plays in the invisible level. Like what is it? What is that called? When you go green, like when you go down into the sewer to
Into
get the
the
green
sewer
cap
area. Yeah. Or the blue
or the
cap.
invisible cap.
Yeah.
Oh, Vanish Cap.
Yeah, Vanish Cap.
yeah.
That's it. Sorry, it plays during that level too.
Cool. Yeah. So let's turn that off. I'm ready to not hate myself listening to that. Another great song. Now this is the Wing Cat. I think it's technically called Powerful Mario.
Yeah,
is
it's
what the theme is
kind of
called,
just like
but,
that. Yeah, continue. We got it.
Like when you get a power up star on
Yeah.
the original. It's really pretty. It's fun. You
And
feel
I
light
think
on your
this
feet.
theme kind of transcends a lot of the games. Or it either has the similar like vibe, like every time you get a power up or something. I mean, even in like all the way to Galaxy, it would play a version of this song. It has similar notes, so like dun 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 dun.
I think the only thing I like attach this song to, even back to the SNES, is getting the star, and that's even in Mario Kart.
Yeah. This is a theme that it transcends literally like all of the Mario games. It's kind of impressive. I mean,
McGroove has another good cover of this, acapella wise.
I also enjoy this song and this version specifically, just the way it like the piano of it, and then the like dun, 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 like the back what is that, trumpets? I can't even tell what it is. Whatever that is, of just giving it the vibe. It's like, all right, this is very N64. Also has some orchestration to it. Very sick.
It is a little scary as well, though, because once you get like close to the end of it, you're like probably in the middle of doing something still, and you're like, oh god, it's gonna run out, and you could just hear the music. You're like, no, it's gonna come soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, as it fades out, you're like, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good song though. It's always a good one. I have a few different like lo-fi, versions of that song as well that I have on.
kimchi. I can smell it in here.
I love eating dude kimchi.
I
by
love
itself,
eating
like,
kimchi,
spicy.
but when I'm not
Yeah.
eating kimchi and I smell it, I want to die.
Yeah, it's not the cutest smelling thing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Haze Maze Cave / Wet Dry World. Oh god, Wet Dry World, everyone's favorite, right? A great liminal space stage though, with that weird.
Yeah,
like,
that one's
Yeah.
definitely
Is that, like,
like
Greece,
the most
or-
liminal space vibe.
The
on
little
entire
town
game,
underneath
I would
is
say.
really cool.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's also it has a motif to the original underground theme from Super Mario Bros.
It does?
It does, yeah. It's
I see it's building. I always thought it was just kind of like like it just had an ambiance. I never even noticed music.
Yeah, which levels were in the original that used this?
It's the underground theme.
Oh
so the-
yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's I didn't know that for obviously when I was a kid, but probably like young adult years, I was like, oh my god, that's
Yeah, Super Mario World was my first game ever, basically, when I was a kid. So that's how
Gotcha.
I attach all these songs to that.
They
Alright, what a
still,
great first game.
Do they still use that song for the new 2D Marios? I haven't
Yeah.
played it
Yeah.
yet.
They
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
Kept it going.
I keep forgetting what that word's called, but yeah, they have that motif. That's the word. It has the motif to it of like similar beat structure, but it's different enough. Similar but different. Oh, Metal Mario.
They put
There
hell
he
in
is.
here.
I like it.
I think
Alright.
one of the coolest things about this stage though is learning the LBJ like on the elevator, and then you can and you get down to
That's a cool
Nessie or whatever her name
That's
is.
a very
and-
cool movement. Yeah.
Yeah, and
A recent movement
God.
they do that I've seen Simply and other world record speedrunners do is where they jump on the cage bit where the balls are falling down. They jump on
Yeah.
the cage bit and they jump over the wall.
Oh
of the
yeah,
stage,
yeah. I do.
and then
I've
they
been learning
fall back
that.
into the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's like really cool.
It's very
like a really
hard.
cool movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
I always thought of it. Well, whatever. It's irrelevant. Here we go. Haunted Merry-Go-Round. Now,
another
this is hell.
song that just imbues stress. Like I'm just like I
Yes.
hate this. I want to.
Another
There
circus
is
song.
oh yeah, circus song for sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna like there's gonna be like a demon clown or like a like zombie clown or something.
It's like a waltz, but a waltz of like doom.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Yeah.
You can hear this theme on one of the Mario Kart 8 maps. I think it's the water park one. Once you're like
Really?
almost at the finish line, yeah. There's a carousel or a merry-go-round or whatever towards the left.
Oh, that's cool.
As you're yeah, and it's kind of hard to hear, but it's in the background if you are like right in the middle of the carousel.
I have to pay attention to that now. I don't think I've heard it
Yeah,
before.
that's sick.
Yeah,
I love little details like that. It's sick.
obviously a very repetitive song. That's all
Oh
there
my
is
god,
to
we
it.
have to do a Luigi's Mansion episode of the podcast. I just realized I can't believe I didn't think about doing a Luigi's
Oh yeah,
Mansion
dude, who do you
episode
think
at some
you
point.
are?
The music in
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion is like crazy. Like how many layers it has to it. There's a oh my god, what's this? Is it Koda Kondo? Like the same guy or who
Koji
did this
Kondo?
music? Koji Kondo? Yeah,
Yeah.
oh no, it's Totako's song because there's like a song, a secret song he puts in some of his games that has like that plays if you do something secret within the game. And yeah, anyways,
Right.
we'll talk about that on that episode. I just thought of that. I was like, oh wow, yeah.
Oh, for sure, man.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Koopa-
So this is
Koopa's
the Road to Koopa. So when you're getting in the Dark World or the Lava World or what's the final one called?
like
In the
up to
sky?
Bowser. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Or sorry, that's the originals. I think Koopa's. Oh yeah, Koopa's. Yeah, right there.
I love this.
Classic.
Wow.
Great song. Very
This
good
is a
song.
great song. If this is one of those where it feels like it continually builds but never gets to a
Yeah.
climax.
It's just, I mean, it's super melodic. It's very, it actually feels like, you're finally like, honestly, it's hard to find the words, but it feels good. You have obviously a big road ahead of you, literally,
Yeah.
but Mario will be successful.
It feels like you're-
progressed a lot as well. Like in the game, you're getting
Yes.
something serious finally.
Yes.
100%. Yeah, it feels like you're literally climbing a mountain to the top, like to the
Yeah.
champion. Like you're not quite there, but you're about to face like a giant feat. Very, very cool. Very, very sick.
I always envisioned, like when I was a kid, listening to this song when you're in the
Yeah.
world with, the Bowser world or whatever, like Princess Peach is like looking down at Mario when he's all the way down at the bottom of the world, and she's like waiting for him and like, oh my god, hurry up, please,
Yeah.
whatever.
Gabe, Zach has suggested a song in the things we
hell
talked
yeah.
I
about.
dropped the Metal Mario, and I think that
Metal
song is
Mario.
really
yeah.
good.
That's a cool theme
Yes.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
that's very cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other levels that I'm not, because a lot of levels reuse songs from like earlier stages, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I'm trying to think of like ones that are different.
Right.
But I think we've covered literally. Oh, I guess you could do the music from CCM.
Yeah, what does that
CCM?
sound like? I don't even remember.
It's it's got a lot of like accordion in it. Just put like CCM, music.
It's funny how we can't think of it, considering how
I know.
often we play it, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I know.
I know,
Right.
but
Scary.
I can like when I hear it, I know it, but I just like
Tune it
'Cause
out
I
a bit when you
keep-
play.
I keep
Absolutely.
Yeah.
defaulting back to that stupid merry-go-round theme because that's what's fresh in my head. Because it has a similar like
Yeah, similar like note range and everything.
No, it's
Yeah,
a
anyways,
doo-doo-doo. No, it's not that one. No, I'm just singing the Peach Slide again. Ignore me.
It has the similar motif to that. But anyways, continue with the Metal Mario. We'll hear CCM here soon enough.
Oh, wait, this guy right here, Saddled Creeper 4486 says, this is truly heavy metal. There we go, you
Wow.
guys.
He's so cool.
Metallica Step Aside. Metal Mario theme.
It's so classic Mario.
It is. It's very catchy.
Yeah.
This bit right here, the dun 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 dun, dun, that reminds me of Undertale. I don't know why it has that similar like structure.
You know
to,
what it
like,
reminds me
Undertale.
of? It reminds me of Mario Paint back in the day when you could make music.
Ooh, true. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I never
Loved Mario
played
Paint
that.
back in the day.
Yeah.
This is sick.
My favorite thing is one of my favorite things in the Mario community is in Liam's chat when he's doing the star and they post the Glover D emote where it's the Glover
Oh,
character
yeah.
just like dancing in a circle because he's shiny the same exact way.
I love the whenever they Omega dance in Simplish Chat. It's always a great one.
When I was a kid and terrible at the game, you had the metal cap down near Nessie and Hazy Maze Cave,
Yep.
underwater to hit the little switch to open the gates. I remember I always got so like, oh my god, just like super stressed out, whatever, to try to get to that because obviously it's not very good at the game.
Yeah.
I had to give the controller to David or Sarah just to, please help, and like, big brother or sister kind of like, fine.
All right, give me the cool mountain.
Cool mountain.
No, you did the wing cap.
Wait, what? Wait, okay, man, I wanted the cool picture in the background. Well, fine, we'll do this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I can already hear the penguins.
Yeah.
This one, sadly, so I always talk about how it's really cool when games can communicate ice/winter themes without using sleigh
Yes.
bells. This one uses sleigh bells, sadly, but it's still
It does.
Is this the
Still
same in
good, yeah.
SL as well in Snowman's Land?
Yes, they use.
think so,
It's,
yeah.
it's the exact same theme. Yep, it is indeed.
What do they use in the igloo in that level? The
I think
is
I think it's the Hazy Maze Cave thing.
Hazy Maze.
Oh.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
when
because
you're-
it's just like a weird cave thing that they treat it like. So
right.
I think that's the theme.
Pretty
if I'm not
song.
mistaken.
Is there any other song? I mean, I guess I'll do.
I think that's it. That's all I can think of.
I'll do just King Koopa theme.
There's the outro.
Jim Koopa?
Outro song.
Outro's good.
Oh, the
outro's good,
outro
yeah.
song. Yes. Oh my god, the outro song makes me want to cry every time I hear it. Like it's so nostalgic. I'm like that and hearing the intro to Ocarina of Time. Those are the ones that are like they hit that nostalgia thing, and you're like, oh my god, I just want to be a kid, like 10 years old, at 3 a.m. playing video games again, please.
Too real.
know.
Too real.
The outro, like, it can't be nostalgic for me because my whole childhood I'd never beaten it, so I only
Same.
heard it
Yeah.
like 2
Yeah.
years ago. But,
Yeah,
maybe in
that's
future.
valid. Yeah.
So this one is Koopa's theme. This is when you're actually fighting Bowser once you get on
this is
the the
Bowser's
warp
theme.
pipe.
Yeah.
Very just
Oh yeah.
it's time to tussle,
Every
you
single
know.
track in this is a hit in some way.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's definitely got like that. This is probably gave Bowser like the most personality he had ever had in any
Yeah.
Mario game. Honestly, even though he looks like really gross in this game, I feel like the music here just kind of really amps him up.
Right.
And the guitar, yeah, it's all sick.
I love the Goomba. God, the Goombas and the just
Everything looks so derpy in this game.
oh, it looks so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, play that outro as we could even have it playing softly in the background as we rate
right.
the game. Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be fun because it's a good thing. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for our discussion here on Mario. No, you can keep playing it. Oh, string
Oh, it's-
pause. Oh,
yeah.
you minimized it so it stopped playing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
I
okay, you're good.
maximize it.
All right, that's going to do it for our discussion here on Mario 64. A fantastic game to speedrun, fantastic game just to enjoy casually. I'll go ahead and start. We'll go Zach, Fuse, Gabe, and Leanne, and back to me. Zach, how would you rate this game both as a casual player and also as a speedrunner out of 10?
As casual, I don't even know if I can answer that, to be honest. I don't know if I have a casual answer. Speedrunning, 10 out of 10. I think it's
Yeah.
the accessibility where it's so easy to start. Like Leanne said, she learned it in literally a few hours originally. And if I started with 16, it would have been the same for me, but I unfortunately didn't. But it's that easy to get into it. And then the practice resources and everything make it so fun to play as much as you want or as little as you want.
Yeah. 100%. I agree. Fuse, what about yourself?
I think I'd give this probably a solid like 8.5 out of 10 because like we all agree, it kind of just like started to make like they were already rolling into like 3D platformer games and whatnot. And this kind of just like got that ball going super fast to make all the other developers go and be like, okay, we need to kick into gear. We need to like sit down and actually start making these. And
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe it's the reason that Call of Duty's around, Gabe.
I mean, it probably
Think about
is,
that.
man. I mean, that's the
Probably
reason
is,
I got
dude.
gold camo on COD 4 with my Yeah, with my AK. There you go.
What about you, Gabe?
I would give this game, it's tough, either 9 or 9.5 out of 10. Really, the only gripes growing up and nowadays are, don't hate me, I know speedrunners, you guys have a lot of fun with the Rainbow Cruise, but I don't know, I never vibed too much with Rainbow Cruise. It was, I mean, maybe a little bit was the difficulty, but it just kind of felt like
I thought you were
going
gonna
to
say the camera.
The camera.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the camera
does
is
suck.
yeah.
Camera does suck in this game.
I do not envy whoever had to develop the camera for the first
Well,
3D Mario game kind of thing.
To be fair, that's probably like it's the best it ever was at the time. But anyways,
Right.
So.
Just a couple of the courses were a little awkward. The cloud level, kind of throwaway. Speedrunners, I know you guys just love that level so much. It's the
No,
best
that
level
level
ever in speedrun.
sucks. I hate that level.
But I mean, everything else. I mean, it's fun. It feels great to control. The music is super iconic, memorable. I mean, even nowadays, I can turn on a lo-fi remix of a song, or I can just listen to this song and have a fun time. And it just feels good to play. It's one of those games, you can always 100 all the time, just because it's that good.
Hell yeah. What about you, Leanne?
I might cheat my answer a bit because I can't decide, but
Yeah.
I think like kid me casually would have said 10. When I replayed it as an adult, like I think I noticed the controls like nowadays they just feel a bit worse than I remember, I think, just because we're so spoilt now. So like nowadays, I guess if you're picking it up, I'd give it like 8.5 maybe. And then speedrun 9 just because invisible walls suck. But apart from that, it's like it's the best.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's so many times that the walls just absolutely obliterate speedruns.
How does playing on a GameCube controller feel for you? Do you ever like wish it wasn't, or does it feel great?
It feels fine. I mean, I love the GameCube controller. It's probably my favorite one. So like, I don't really mind it, but I don't really have the 64 like to compare it to be honest, like other than when I was younger. So it's hard to know if it is at a disadvantage or an advantage or whatever. But yeah, I don't mind it.
From my brief time doing Sunshine, the only thing I noticed different about the controller is it feels like piano rolling A to B is a little tougher on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Because it just
I
like
do
sometimes it
struggle with
doesn't
that.
smoothly go,
I do struggle with that, so I'm glad you said that because now if I fail it, I feel like I can use that as an excuse and blame the controller.
Yeah.
If it works
There
out.
you go. Hell yeah. Well, that brings it to me. From a casual perspective, I think this is my favorite 3D Mario game. I'm sorry. I mean, it barely ekes out the others though, is the thing. It's not even that like it's because the others suck. It's just because this one just has a special place in my heart. Being the first and then also being such a great game that's like held through speedrunning. So as a casual player, I mean 9.5 because I mean the camera does suck. So but otherwise it feels good to play. And then as a speedrunner, I mean it's the game I speedrun, man. It's the one that got me into the hobby, so I gave it a 10. So all right. Well, that's gonna do it for us here on the That's gonna do it for us here on the Boost View podcast. Let's start with Leanne. Leanne, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm just Leanne Heff on everything pretty much, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So, and then my Instagram is the same, but with an underscore after it.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Zach, where can they find you on the internet?
Zach Tunes everywhere. I think if you searched it on Instagram, it would pop up. But either way, if you don't see me under just that, it's underscore TTV after on any platform that you don't immediately find it under Zach Tunes. But I'm most present on, I'd say, on Twitter, Twitch. And then, that's pretty much it, I think.
Is it a Zach with a CH or a CK?
The only way to
K?
spell with a CH, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
there
how my
you go.
brother
Yep.
is spelled.
Yep.
That's how he says the same thing. It's like you can only spell it with a CH. You can't spell it with a K.
Yeah, I've met, I think, probably 4 or 5 different, like ways of spelling. It's always a funny question.
Oh yeah, 100% for sure. And of course, you can find us 3 hosts with the links in the description at twitch.tv/favlam, Sort of Fuse, and Excellion96. We're all on every other platform as well. Again, links all down below. If you were to subscribe to anything, please subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Do it right now. Get us to 20 likes or something. I got gift cards for days to give away, man. They're all right here. You got,
Oh my
God,
likes.
give me them.
Yep.
Give me them, Austin.
So
Just give them to me, bro. I'll use them. I'll take care of them.
yeah, I'm sure. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Do we have any last nickels, dimes, comments before we end here?
Where would you live in Mario 64 given
true.
you
I
could
love this
survive? Yes.
Great question.
I'd say the castle. Just don't go in any levels.
What's the
Just
ca-
stay safe
Yeah,
in
no
the
levels.
castle.
That's based.
Yeah.
That's based.
Yeah.
What is up with Womps? I swear Womps is like the death of speedruns, isn't it? Or
Too
a lot
much
of
there at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, I gotcha. I'd probably do Tall Mountain, or what's the Big Small World?
Tiny Huge Island.
Tiny Huge Island, yeah. Yep. That place is.
I just live in the castle.
Yeah.
Okay. No cat. You have to pick a course. I'm sorry, Leanne. You have to pick a course.
What do you mean?
Probably Bob-omb then. That's like a big area. Obviously, there's enemies there, but I feel like you could be pretty safe.
It's a war-torn battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sure.
That's
You
it.
could just hide in a
I'm
corner
picking
or
the ice
something.
area. I'm
Yeah.
kicking the penguin out of frustration.
Oh,
You
he's
don't
gonna
wanna
be
live in
in
Lethal Lava
CCM.
Land?
He's gonna be in CCM. Lethal Lava Land.
No.
I really like DDD or either not Dire Dardock. Sorry, Jolly Roger Bay. Probably Roger Bay. Just so chill. Such an.
That
I
is
always
chill.
love. I've always. Yeah, I love water, man. I've like,
wanna
grew
live
up
in the
water. I used
aquarium.
to swim like growing up, like for like competitively and stuff. So like
Nice.
I love the water. Water has always been a wonderful thing for me. All right, well, that's going to do it for Here's on the Boost Podcast. Like I said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, help the channel out. It'll be amazing. We're almost at 400 subscribers, so like we're really climbing up. We're really getting there. So thanks everybody so much for watching. Thanks to our wonderful guests for being on the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time when we talk about Mario. Actually, we might talk about we're going to talk about Pokemon DLC. We're going to talk about Pokemon Teal Mask DLC. So I won't be here for that. That'll be the first time I've not been on the podcast, so that'll be interesting. I know, for real. All right, thanks everybody so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Love you. Spine up.
Spine ups is garbage. Spine ups is garbage.